Your soul is mine.
How's it going, guys? King the Great here. Hopefully all y'all are having either a wonderful day, night, or evening. Today I have a gameplay video for you with a few friends of mine over Spell Table. We're all showcasing our decks for the night. I'm of course bringing my character list. Death is coming, and I hope it goes well for y'all. Also, just let me know on the quality of the video. I've been trying to work on improving it as much as I can. I'm currently using a Logitech C920. I'm also going to eventually try to get a better background thing for this. Don't have a green screen kite yet, but I plan on getting one here soon. So the improvement on my videos will continue to thrive. Also, I appreciate all the people who have been subscribing, telling me they enjoy my list, and I would like to keep showcasing Carrick as much as possible. Of course, I will be doing other decks later in the future as well. Currently, I just want to focus mainly on my main list for right now. But in the future, we'll definitely showcase my other decks that I have planned on building. Anyways, let's get right to the gameplay. Today we're actually joined by a few friends of mine. First off, we have Eric playing Atraxa Grand Unifier. This deck looks to resolve a food chain as soon as possible by also controlling the board. Its main lines is trying to get to food chain and then into a Thassa's Oracle win. It gets there by using cards like Eternal Scourge and Mishal Griffin to just keep feeding into food chain and casting Atraxa infinitely in order to just pretty much have your whole deck in your hand, and of course win with Thassa's Orca. Then we have Thomas here on Atraxa Vizier Poison. This deck looks to try to resolve a Yawgmoth rendition with a undying creature such as Yawgmoth and a Blood Artist effect. Also looks to try to do Peer into Abyss or Protein Hulk combo, which is really awesome. This deck has been doing pretty well. He's been taking this to tournaments and such, so I'm actually really impressed at how Thomas has been doing. And then we are also joined by Lane, who's playing Animar Solo Elements. We haven't seen this deck in quite some time. This looks to resolve a Ancestral statue as soon as possible. And as you can tell, it has protection from white and from black, which is kind of a pain for me. But during this game, he doesn't really do a whole lot towards myself because I kind of kept the mid-range game plan, and he kind of looks to focus on the other two decks. So that kind of helped me out a lot. So anyways, let's get through our first gameplay. Alright, for this screen, I'm going to be showing you the opening hands I kept for each game. So for this game, I am going first, deciding to keep 2 Swamps, Delbog Content, Blood Celebrant, the One Ring, Animar Grave, and a Manifold Key. Started us off with Drawn for Turn with no pre-games. I play a Swamp, tap the Swamp to cast a Blood Celebrant. If the Blood Celebrant was good, I go ahead and ship over Return to Thomas. Thomas draws Return. Plays a Mana Confluence. Plays a Chrome Mox. Imprinting a Nature's Claim. And then cast a turn 1 Apatra, taking a damage from Mana Confluence. And he ships the turn over to Eric. Eric draws Return. Plays a Blessed Mire, cracking it, goes, grabs a Underground Sea. Taps the Underground Sea to play a Mana Vault. Then plays a Lowest Petal. Asks if that's okay, everyone said yes. Then he casts a turn 1 Smothering Tithe, which is kind of a problem, but unfortunately no one has any responses to it. Then he passes it over to Lane, triggering Smothering Tithe as he draws, which he can't pay for. Lane plays a Cavern of Souls. That's the Cavern of Souls. He plays a Soul Ring. I got my turn. I draw, triggering Smothering Tithe, which I can't pay for. Play a Swamp. and cast a Dial Buckinson. No one has any responses to it, so I go ahead and search for a Mana Vault here. And I ship the turn over to Thomas. Thomas draws return, triggering Smothering Dive. Taps the Chrome Mox. Plays a Soul Ring. Then moves straight into Comment, deciding to hit Eric since he does have a Smothering Dive. This triggers Atraxa, causing Eric to lose 2 life. Since there is no legal targets, he has to put a -1/-1 counter on Atraxa, creating him a 1/1 snake. It passes over to Eric. Eric decides to untap his Mana Vault here, sacking 3 treasures and tapping his Underground Sea. Using the treasure token on Moxfield in order to make a copy of it. Plays a Verdant Catacombs, fetches, goes, grabs a Scrubland. Then passes it over to Lane. Lane draws return, triggering Smother Dive. He pays for it with his Soul Ring. Lane plays a Skull and Tarn, fetches it for a Tropical Island, and plays a Fanatic Erroneous. Then he passes the turn over to me. I draw for turn. I do not pay for Smothering Dive. Play Swamp. Play the Mana Vault that I tutored for. Asking if it resolves. Everyone's like, yes. Then I cast the Wondering here. I know there's a Smothering Dive, but I felt like this is the best advantage for me at the moment, especially with how many cards were in Eric's hand. And I tap the Swamp to play a Mana Vault key, which allows me to either untap the Mana Vault or the Wondering if I need to. And I ship the turn over to Thomas. Thomas draws for turn, triggering Smothering Dive. He does not pay for it. Swings Atraxa over at Eric, taking 2. Trigger Atraxa, puts a -1/-1 counter on Fanatic. Second main, takes 1 damage from Mana Confluence, plays a Worn Soul Trader. Thanks here for a second. Taps his 2 snakes that he just created. Here we presume he's trying to accord. Taps his Chrome Mox for green, sacks the 2 snakes to Worn Soul Trader, creating 2 treasures and losing him 2 life, and sacking the treasures to Cord for 2. Here we think he's going to grab a Collector move, but we were actually surprised on what he decides to grab. We all pass on it. But I do respond with a Wondering activation, giving Eric another treasure. Just in case it was for Collector Roof. Thomas grabs a Blood Artist. Thomas attempts to sack Atraxa in response to the trigger of sacking for a cost. Eric decides to cast an Orange Chant. As you could tell, what was it Thomas trying to do was cast a Forsaken Miner, which was a infinite combo with Worn Soul Trader and Blood Artist. And unfortunately he has to pass there. Eric draws return. Plays a Forbidden Orchard. Has enough mana to cast his commander, Atraxa Grand Unifier. And that's exactly what he does. And in response, Lane decides to force the will of it, which was pretty funny because he did mention earlier that he would force Eric's Atraxa. And Eric shifts the turn over to Lane. Lane doesn't pay for Smothering Tithe. Step 3. Casts his commander Animar Solo Elements. Taps 2, plays a Haywire Mari, triggering Animar, putting a +1/+1 counter on it. Has 1 mana floating. Decides what he wants to do here with the 1 mana and a cost reduction due to Animar. And here he decides to play a Walk-in Ballista for 1, triggering Animar. And decides to go ahead and kill the Blood Artist. Blood Artist, in response, he sacks the Blood Artist to Wormsoul Trader, triggering it to cause them to lose 1 life, making them a treasure, and triggering Blood Artist to ping someone for 1. I got my turn, take 1 from the One Ring, and decide it'd be best to untap my Mana Vault, which I do here with the Manifold Key. Draw for turn, do not pay for Smothering Tithe. Play an Urborg in everyone's swamps. I tap the Urborg and Mana Vault to cast my commander, Carrick, Son of Yawgmoth. Everyone passes priority on it. Think for a second on what I want to do. I tap 2 and pay 4 life. Cast a Necrotic, which has all activated abilities of all creature cards in the graveyards. Everyone passes on it, also triggering Carrick to give it a +1/+1 counter. The table tries to figure out what they want to do, and they allow it to resolve. I'm like, alright. Here I decide what I want to try to do here. I tap the One Ring, drawing 2 cards, giving Eric 2 more treasures. Also, I am aware the life total did not change. This does get fixed here in a minute. And I cast a Praetor's Grasp, targeting Thomas here, because I believe he plays it in Tomb. Which on spell table effects like Praetor's Grasp, Oppo, stuff like that kind of do suck, but it's fine. Table tries to figure out what they want to do here. And in response to the Praetor's Grasp, Eric decides to cast a Silence, and I'm like, that's fine. And then after that Praetor's Grasp resolve, of course, I go grab Thomas's Entomb, which is public knowledge because I did mention it in the video. Or towards them at least. So, as upkeep, I decide to attempt to cast an Entomb. And in response, Thomas decides to cast a Noxus Revival, targeting my Blood Celebrant, which I'm totally okay with. Here I'll go grab Asmodeus. And that's where I remember that there is a Smothering Tithe, and I had to figure out if I can just get through it. Everyone's like, yeah, that's fine. So I draw 7 cards to the Asmodeus' ability, not causing them to get exiled because he is in the grave and not on the board state. Then I activate it one last time. And unfortunately, I just did not find anything, and leaving Eric was a metric ton of treasures. But during this game, Eric did mention to me that he had nothing in his hand, so I was kind of less worried about it. Thomas draws her turn, finally. Plays a Undergrowth Stadium. Says he knew he should have put Blood Artist on top with his Noxus Revival. I explained to them Asmodeus with Necroticus requires 6 life or 3 black mana. Thomas plays a Yawgmoth. And he also casts his commander Atraxa. As you can tell, I'm trying to figure out if there's anything I can do here to not lose the game. And Thomas strips the turn over to Eric, and he casted Atraxa. Lane passes priority. I pass priority on that. And unfortunately, Eric just did not really get any good flips here. He does get a Dothy, which kind of stinks for me. But if you saw earlier, I did have a Deadly Rollick in hand, so I'm not too worried about it. Ships all that back to the bottom, which was a Force of Will, a Vamp, Enlightened Tutor, a Vamp Tutor, Swan Song, and 2 lands. Keeping Chain of Vapor, Dothy for Forbidden Orchard, and a Aether Vial. So my apologies, I thought the City of Brass was a Forbidden Orchard. It was not. Place Forbidden Orchard for turn, and cast a Chain of Vapor. I look at my hand, knowing he's attempting to chain one of my things. But he was actually trying to do it on his Atraxa. Lane responds with Deflecting Swat, bouncing my Necroticus, which is totally fine. I just look at my hand and just making sure there is nothing that I can do at the time. I think for a second and realize that the Chain of Vapor can actually hit the Animar, so I don't have to die. This here is where I sack a swamp and bounce his commander. and Lane decides not to continue the chain. And then Eric decides to play the Dothy Voidwalker, which, like I said, is kind of annoying, but I do have that Deadly Relic in my hand, and cast a Aether Vow. Then goes to his turn. Thinks for a second. Lets him know that he doesn't really have anything for me. And draws return, triggering Smother type, which he gets a treasure from. And explains he's kind of wishes he didn't have Cavern on the battlefield because he did have the Thrasios. And he just decides to recast his commander, Animar. And at his end step, I decided to cast the Deadly Relic I did mention earlier, exiling Dothy Voidwalker. Also triggering Carrick. Well, my turn. Take 2 from the Wandering. Untap my Mana Vault. Give Eric a treasure. Play a Nykthos, return. And Mox Ember. Trying to figure out how I don't just die here. Play Mox Diamond. Table kind of tries to see if I can actually get it here. I look at my hand trying to figure out what I can do here. I tap 2 into Nykthos, making 3. I recast Necroticus. Lane explains that he has nothing. Thomas explains that he has nothing. And then I just show them combo with Scourge Familiar, Author the File Chain. And that's it. Thank you for watching.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.